Good evening and welcome back to another warming in the shop. I just wanted to kind of show off my next project here and talk a little bit about it. I had a couple reach out to me about this particular table here, and this is for one of those big green eggs that everybody has. And this was a table they had bought online someplace just a year or so ago apparently, and it did not hold up to their expectations, and they just didn't want to go out and buy a new one. So they liked the style of this table. It's supposedly made out of acacia wood. But we are in a very salty environment here in South Carolina, and I don't know. I'm trying to figure out reasons why this table failed like it did. There's a lot of rot up on this end and down this leg that initially contributed to maybe it was the hardware had started to corrode and then it ate into the wood. But the more I got to looking at it today when I took this off, there's a granite basically countertop piece that sits here. I think what's happening, or what happened, was water accumulated down into this area here coming off this countertop, and that just really just sat there and it ate away at this corner. But anyway, they asked me if I could take a look at it and see what I thought. They had reached out to a couple of different individuals who never gave them a call back for one reason or another. But I said, hey, I'm a small guy in a small shop and I can use the exposure, so why not? It looked fairly simple. I'm going to rebuild this completely from scratch. I just told them I'll take the table with me. It helps it out. I can use this as basically blueprints and build it almost exactly the same, or not pretty darn close to it, with a few changes that'll make it sturdier and more useful and hopefully last a little bit longer. So just a few things I'm going to do to it differently. And this is not something that I really wanted to do. I gave them a couple of different options for material of wood. And one of those main options that I found I wanted to go with was cypress. And I wanted to use cypress for the entire structure. That's a very rot resistant, very weather resistant wood. And then all the hardware would be marine grade stainless steel. The casters on this are very much shot, so I'd replace the casters and put new casters on it. Also, one of the main deciding things that I noticed once I got to see it in person and got it here back in the shop, was all of this structure here, with the exception of these legs, are like 1-inch material, very thin. So you can see it's very unstable. So I'm going to beef everything up. I'm going to go with 2x4 material for the legs, 2x4 material for all the aprons, and just give it a solid base, just like if it was one of my workbenches in the back here. And then I'm going to go with the 1-inch tops on the shelves, and then definitely there'll be some more support up underneath, which this one has. It's almost comical. Maybe I'll flip it over here in a minute and show you how this thing's put together. But it's kind of comical, actually, in my opinion. But I wanted to go completely all cypress, and that's what I originally gave them. I can get a really good price locally on basically 1-inch, 3/4-inch cypress. But the 2x4 cypress was, everywhere I priced, was ridiculous. The price difference between a 2x4 and a 1x4 is probably close to $30 difference. So when I gave them the options, I gave the customer options. I said I could do it all in cypress, and here's a price. Or another option that I don't necessarily like to do, but I do like to give my customers options, and that is, I don't particularly want to do it with cooking surfaces. I don't particularly like to mess with it, but it's ultimately the customer's decision, in my opinion. And that was to go with the apron and frame assembly as a pressure-treated pine. And then the tops and bottoms would be cypress. But the bigger, heavier portions, the beefier, would be the pressure-treated pine. So that come in a much better price for them, price point. I still make out fairly well with that, but it'll work out good in the long run. So again, I'm going to go with pressure treated 2x4s for the frame, cypress for the tops and bottoms, and marine grade stainless steel hardware and upgraded casters. These green eggs I did find out are fairly heavy. So anyway, that's really what we're going to be working with over the next week or so and get this thing beefed up. But let me just pop this off real quick, flip it over. But I don't know if you guys can see this, but really, I don't know how this design comes in, but all these screws, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. They used a mixture of pocket holes and screws. You can really see just completely rusted out and shot. But I'm going to just use this as a complete blueprint and build it almost identical to the way it is. Hopefully I don't get too hot. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for watching. Good evening and welcome back to the shop. It's been a little while, but I've been busy working on this project here. In the last video, you would have seen this table, which was a green egg, basically workstation. Big green egg, one of the ceramic grills sits in this opening. And then here in this opening is basically like a granite countertop or prep surface. The previous table was made out of a very thin 1x4 material that was supposed to have been acacia wood. Once I got it all torn apart, come to find out it was not acacia wood. It was maybe stained an acacia color, but it was more like just regular old pine trim board. So that's the reason it failed. Not only was it not strong enough to withstand the weight of what's going on here, but it wasn't very well reinforced, and along with it had a lot of corrosion and just general rot from being out in the weather, especially in the salty weather. So I went about rebuilding it for a customer, and this is the final rebuilt project. So I've went in here and I've reinforced all the aprons, the legs, the stretchers, all the support structure. Basically the main structure of this is all 2x4s, and this is made out of pressure treated pine 2x4. So it's kind of weather and rot resistant. Because I didn't want the contact surface of the food to come in contact with the pressure treated 2x4s, I went with the top and the bottom down here with cypress. This is 1x4 cypress. And this opening where the big green egg will sit, the way I made this, instead of cutting it out and trying to figure out the width or the diameter that I needed for this circle, I took each individual piece off the other table, used it as a template by setting it down on the cypress, tracing it out, and then going over and cutting it on my bandsaw. And that's how I got basically a full reproduction top for this. I used everything for hardware. I used stainless 316 grade screws, deck screws for fastening everything down. There's some smaller screws here, some larger screws that you can kind of see. I plugged the holes. I've sunk them in a little deeper and then plugged the holes all the way around. Smaller screws on top, which I covered up and kind of plugged across the top to make it smooth. There's some bolts. You may or may not can see them, but again, stainless steel 3/16 bolts that's going through, and then nice locking 5-inch swivel casters. Makes this very sturdy, easy to move around with all the weight on it. When I was done with that, I sanded everything down to 220 grit, and I gave it 2 good coats of Cabot wood stain, and this is the, believe it is called Flame Mahogany, is a stain that I used on it. So it turned out really nice. I really like the way it looked. There's 1 or 2 areas that I would have liked to have done better, but I really didn't have. I tried messing with it, but there's a stretcher board that runs basically right across here, and I had to cut this out with the opening, so I had to come in with my jigsaw and cut it out. And it's not the cleanest that I would have liked it. I'd like to come in here with my router and kind of just smooth that up and cleaned it up with my router, but I couldn't get anything to make a good template to run on. So, but anyway, that's really it. I've got to put on this front bar. It's going to sit right here for like a towel rack. And then there's some smaller little hooks here that come off the other one that I'm going to put down onto this side here. But that's really it. That's all I've got left to do on it. I'll do that tomorrow and either deliver it tomorrow, depending on weather, or maybe Wednesday, but all weather dependent. So anyway, hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching.